Okay. Let's see. We're holding on Ches Samad Aleph towards the bottom. Are we up to Tashlumi Kefal?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. Because of our learning, we should have the basic Mikdash. Learning Lula Nishma, Yaman, and Sons of Nitzin. Also, for Shleima, for Avram, Avram Ben Sarah, right? And I guess what else been taken to Perna, and also other Miriam Adel, and also for Chaim Ben Sarah, right? Jimmy. Okay. The Gemara says like this: the Shlomi Kefil, the double payment. We're talking about how many judges you need for each thing. But basically, you need 3 for almost everything, except as we got into the cases of life and death, capital punishment, then you need 23, right? So, Shalach le Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda le Rav Nachman bar Yaakov. Okay. Nachman bar Rav Chisda sends to Rav Nachman bar Yaakov. Yilamdeinu Rabbeinu, teach us. Dine Knesses become, how many judges do you need for Knas? Knas is anything that's not the exact amount of the loss. Either more or less of the of what it would be to make up the loss. What's he asking? It's the Mishnah says that you need 3. The ain done in dine knot the ain dine knot kami baile ain baile al yachnu kami baile da'in maybe da'in dine knasas elai. It's probably da'in. He judges. Does Yachin Mumcha able to judge with dine knasas? Gemara says, "Amar lei tanisut tashlumi kefal tashlumi abava chamish b'shleisha." You can't do it with 1 judge. You need to have 3 judges. So what is our question over here? Tashlume or dine knasas, how many judges do you have? So rather, the Gemara says, my shleisha. What did we mean 3 judges? Maybe it means that you don't need to be expert judges for dine knasas. He says, Amar Avua de Avuch Mishmei de Rav. I don't know who that is. Avua de Avuch is, I guess he's telling Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda. So Avua would be Rav Chisda. Who's Avua de Avuch? I mean Rav Chisda's father. I don't know Rav Chisda's father. Anyone know who Rav Chisda's father was? I don't know. Rav Chisda was a Talmud of Rav. He was a friend of Rav Huna. He was younger than Rav Huna, but he was a friend of Rav. Chisda was more Rabba, Rav Huna. Doesn't say your grandfather. Doesn't say the name.
How many days yet?
No. Okay. He says in the name of Rav, Afilu asara dietis vehin psula vehin dietis afilu asara vehin dietis psulim din knasas. You can't use a dietis. When it comes to the knas, it needs to be expert judges. Elamumchen, rather,
it needs to be quote someone without saying his name.
Yeah. Amar Avua, the Avuch, grandfather.
Unless it's really a famous person, and back in those days, it was like,
maybe Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda was really a grandson of Rav Chisda, and he was called bar Rav Chisda, maybe
because he raised him or something.
I don't know. Okay, whatever the case is, the Gemara's question over here. His question.
Bar Rava, father-in-law.
Yeah. He was also a son-in-law of Rav. Rav Chanan bar Rava. Yeah, Rav Chisda was related through marriage to Rav because his wife was
Maybe he's referring
to daughter of. It was a granddaughter of Rav. Sorry.
maybe meaning Rav.
No, he says Mishmei Rav. Yeah, Mishmei Rav. Anyway, if they're not bothered by it, I guess I'm not supposed to be either. But so Ella Mumchen v'Kamer Shleish. Rather, when
We
it comes
have a
to
note
dinim,
on it.
you do have a note.
Yeah. It
Who is
appears that the text should actually read your mother's father, referring to Rav Hanan bar Rava, who is sometimes called Rav Hanan bar Abba. He was one of the foremost students of Rav and quoted several statements in his name. Rav Hanan bar Rava was the father-in-law of Rav Chisda himself, one of the youngest students of Rav. Rav Hanan bar Rava would sometimes teach Rav Chisda lessons in the name of his teacher, Rav.
So,
So
who's
it wasn't
who's
exactly
who's
father,
correcting
it was
that?
a
Who makes the
father-in-law.
correction? Avua de Imech, I guess it's supposed to be, right? Who do they say has that correction?
Yeah, that doesn't. I guess Rabbi Steinsaltz. I don't know. There's no
Oh, you have in the Quran they say
in the
that.
coin. Yeah.
So interesting.
I don't.
Yeah, that's what I was. I didn't really take that.
Avua de Imech. So you have to change the word.
Would even.
Okay. That's great. That's great. Very nice. And our school doesn't say anything about that?
No.
Nothing?
It says like his
Father's
father or
reason
something.
why.
Rabbi Scroll.
Yeah, it says like
Slacking
father's
off.
father. I'm like, that's grandfather.
Okay.
Question,
Yeah.
Not always.
has the Gemara or one of the comments defined mumcha?
Find what?
Mumcha,
No, not yet. We just I was assuming that Mumcha meant that he has smicha. Also that he has permission from the Reish Galusa or whoever. Yeah. Ordained. Okay. The Chachamim, the new Gemara, Chachamim Meitzi Shemra Besam Shleisha. Chachamim say that Meitzi Shemra is a man that says that his wife, his new wife, was not a virgin. So that case, because what's going to happen now is that he wants her to lose the ksuba. So it's really it's a monetary case, but also it could be the ksuba means that she committed adultery in between the betrothal and the wedding. However, it could turn into a capital punishment case if those witnesses really show up and say that yes, she did commit adultery. Then she would get the death penalty. She would get skila. Well, how do you judge a case like this, which has a monetary case but could become a capital punishment case? So it's a machlekes. But Meir said that it's 3 judges, and the Chum say it's 23 judges. Now, the explanation for the Chachamim, for understanding, is because it could be that witnesses will show up, or in some cases witnesses show up, and therefore it could be a dinei nefashos. The Gemara asks, "V'cheyesh be'dinei nefashos my havi," but who cares if in some cases you have dinei nefashos? In this case, it's not dinei nefashos. He's not bringing witnesses. So Amar Ula, this Gemara is going to give us 8 interpretations of this machlekes. So I knew we are going to learn it on Hanukkah. And it's going to take us until Tess Summit Base. All right. Basically, we're talking about Reb Meir, just to get it clear. Reb Meir says 3, the Chachamim say 23, and we got to figure out why the Chacham say 23, why Reb Meir says 3. Well, Reb Meir is easier to understand. Reb Meir says 3 because he's only coming to claim that he doesn't have to give her the money.
Yeah.
So Amar Ula, yeah.
Isn't Motzi Shemra mean that she was represented as a basula and she's not?
Right.
So how does he know her condition when he betrothed her? How can he prove this? I mean, I understand if there are 2 witnesses that see her having relationships, but how would he know her condition?
Maybe she's 3 years old.
Isn't that whole thing with the blood? They have to, there's no blood.
Either with the blood,
What's this? What's just a simla? No?
right? I say similar, and it means they bring witnesses.
uh-huh.
What's the thing with the blood?
He's claiming that he didn't find any blood at the first relations. It means that she's not. But Rabbi Naftali is asking more. Rabbi Naftali is asking, how does he know what happened before the betrothal, right?
The amount of the soil wouldn't that be a factor? Because if he agreed to 200.
But
No, but now he's claiming that it wasn't just.
but it wasn't just.
No, my point is that there are two different things here, aren't they? Motzi Shem Ra says she was not a basula. But we're
Okay.
talking about witnesses that she had relationships. That's adultery. That's not.
Right, right. So there's two possible cases. And we're saying that every time it's a monetary case, according to the Chachamim, you need 23 judges because sometimes that same case is an adultery case. And so Reb Meir is saying, yeah, but this one isn't. This one is only a monetary case because it's not bringing witnesses. So the question now, the 3 judges are 23 judges. Seems the Chachamim are being extra cautious. Maybe this is going to, right? It wouldn't be capital punishment if it was before.
Yeah, because he brings 2 witnesses, he's disproving the Motzi Shem Ra case. Mhm.
If he brings 2 witnesses that she committed adultery, then he would
I guess
he would not have to pay her. She would get killed, and that would be it. If those witnesses were false, then he would owe the father 100 coins,
And the witnesses get killed.
and the witnesses get killed. Yeah, that's
It's
the
false. It is false.
yeah,
Okay.
false.
Yeah,
False
whatever the
accusation.
punishment is for the that the witnesses are testifying.
They get.
against.
They get it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
is the blood considered conclusive proof?
Yeah, unless it's a special family that doesn't have blood.
The wrong one?
At least in the Gemara Ksubas. There's a whole question about Pesach Pasuach. Remember that Gemara and
Yeah,
Ksubas?
I remember.
Able
So,
Hell.
I mean, I read that it used to be that girls would claim that it happened while they were riding a horse.
Right. No, that would be Mukasates. Mukasates.
Oh, you're saying that's the 2 of them. Everyone gets 50.
Now, it did the same case. For example, here, he brings her because of the situation. There's no way.
So you say if they were trying to say that
And
he has to
then
pay 100.
they try the case,
Right.
everything finished,
He's gonna pay
and then
50.
later on, they wow.
If they were to say
Yeah.
that you should
Yeah,
get
it's not-
100,
that's right.
they get
Yeah.
the mail. That's
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's interesting. He's saying that with the Pasha Zomam is only in like Malchus, but not in Dina and Mamonas. If they were trying to say to the guy, he owes 100 to Adim, and they're caught, each one doesn't pay 100, each one pays 50.
Uh-huh.
They don't pay exactly.
Usually Rabbi Meir is the one that takes into account unlikely scenarios, right? Here it seems like the opposite.
Oh, wow. That's right. That's a good point. The mayor's Cheshish L'miyuta. Very interesting. Okay, Amar Ula. Ula says this is answer number 1. We're concerned that these rumors are going to spread out. When he goes to court, claiming that his wife was not a virgin, so people are going to hear about it, and then witnesses may show up and testify, and so it very soon could turn into a capital punishment. Rameir says we don't suspect the laws. Yeah, that's a good point, Daniel. Here it is. Point. Usually, Rameir holds we suspect all these cases that are
The reverse.
that are uncommon. Anyway, the Rabbanan they say you need 23 judges. They think that maybe witnesses are going to show up. Okay, that was answer number 1. Rava says, Kuli alma no, we don't suspect that maybe witnesses are going to show up. Here, we have a different concern. We started off the case with the fellow saying that I'm bringing witnesses. Then the witnesses turned out that they were no good. It didn't work out. They didn't show up or whatever. So now he says, okay, so take a look at this. He said, I'm going to bring witnesses. Get me 23 judges. We're going to have a real case over here. And the Ivder. Then the Dayanim left. They said, no, what do you mean? You don't even have witnesses. They didn't show up. Those witnesses were whatever. It was nothing happened. Amalahu, he says, okay, Dainali Miadina Mamanas. So at least judge me a monetary case. And then the question is, could we do the monetary case without the 23 judges there? Or can we just do it with 3 judges? When we thought we were going to have 23, can we now just finish with 3? Or should we be concerned the honor of all those 23 judges that we should now have all 23 there because that's how we want to conclude this case? Yeah. Oh, you had a question? Okay. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question on this. We have a brisa. Brisa says that the sages say, Tavu mamain, if he's claiming money, shleisha, you need 3 judges. Tavu nefashes, if you're claiming life, capital punishment, then besim b'shleisha. Okay, now, according to Rava, Bishleim la Rava, or maybe it's supposed to be Rabba, Tavu mamin tchila. It works like this. Rabba gave me a scenario where it happens to be that we started with 23. We're ending with 3. The question is, should we continue with the 23 or is 3 enough? But let's say we would have started with 3, then we would have had a case of 3. If he never said that he has witnesses that are going to, then we would have started with 3. Right? According to Ula, every time you start with 3, we don't know where this is going to lead to. Even anytime you start with a monetary case, we don't know where it may end up in. So you should always start with 23. So how do we have a brisa here that the Chachamim are the ones that say 23? They say it depends. If he's claiming money, then it's 3. If he's claiming nefashah, then it's 23. According to Rabbah, there's a case where he only claims money, and it's 3. But according to Ula, even a case where he claims 3 should really be 23 because we don't know where it's going to lead to. The way the Gemara spells it out, but if you claim nefashos, if that's how you start off with that, you're going to bring witnesses, and I feel a mom investor in then even if it ends up just being a monetary case, you still continue with 23. Fine. But according to Ula, that says even a monetary case should begin with 23. So Kasha, we have a question. What did the Chachamim mean? That if he's claiming money, it's only 3. According to Ula, claiming money could end up a capital punishment, and therefore it should be 23. So Amar Rava says, yeah.
The whole thing that they get the same punishment, is it like if they testify in court, or is it like if the rabbis notice during the cross examination that they're not saying the same thing?
How does it
They
get?
have to be disputed by other ones.
Which case? All scenarios are possible, but which one do you want to fit? What do you want it to fit with?
No,
With the,
I was just wondering, like, at what point are they responsible for the punishment that they were trying to give the other person?
that's only if other witnesses come and say that you were with us at that same time. How could you testify about this? You weren't even there. You were with us.
That's after like rabbis like cross-examine them.
They finish their case.
You'll see that you have to wait half a year. We'll get to Marcus.
I guess the thing is that both of these charges could be true, right? It could be true that she was out of Basula, and it could also be true that she had relations after they were engaged.
Right.
So in the course of one, they could find the other. Is that how it works?
So it doesn't have to be both true. It could be that she just wasn't a basula, and he doesn't want to give her the ksuba. He wants to divorce her without a ksuba.
And in the course of proving, I don't know how he's supposed to prove that, she had whatever.
Right.
Just procedurally, this is hard for me to understand.
But because you heard rumors.
When the court case, when it comes to court, then people will hear this. They'll say, "Oh yeah, I saw her with so and so," and someone said, "Oh yeah, I saw them going into a room," and then someone, and then the witnesses show up. And
The woman says Basulim cannot be force.
right,
That's what I'm saying. So
right. That's the Gemara
Yeah.
over there that discusses can she get out of it by saying the saints. Is
Right.
that a good claim? Well,
And I guess you can't just add the additional 20 because they haven't heard the initial testimony. So you have to start out with 23. That would be the issue, I would think.
Maybe that's how it is. Right. Well, this is the Rashal changes the name to Rabbah because what happens is Ula has his opinion, Rabbah has his opinion, then comes along Rava and says, Ani varisha b'chabura tagamina, we're going to explain it according to Ula. The Gemara has a question now on Ula, and it's answered by Amar Rava. If it would have been originally Rava, then that would be odd that he was answering a question. It would have been Ella Amar. No, maybe Ella would be retracting. It's not. Amar Rava. It's the way according to the Rashal, it's Rava that's coming in to answer the question on Ula. Ani varisha b'chabura. Myself and also the lion of the group, Targibna, we've explained this brisa the following way. Amano, but who is the lion of the group? Reb Chia bar Ravin. What are we dealing with here? We're talking about where the husband brought witnesses. And then the father came and he said he brought witnesses that made the husband's witnesses into Eidim Zayman. Did you translate Eidim Zayman? No, you had a word for it. 1 second. What is conspiring? Conspiring. Oh, that was Linus, yeah. Okay, conspire. The second witnesses said that the first witnesses were conspiring witnesses, and they weren't even there. They were with us. Okay, so now the first witnesses wanted to get the woman killed. The second witnesses the father's bringing to protect his daughter is saying that these witnesses are false. Okay, so now. Now, if the father is now presenting a case, he says, okay, the rule is that if the husband makes a mitzi shemra, he says these lies about his new wife, and we find out that they're false, he has to pay 100 coins. So the father is now bringing the case spelled itself out exactly with that case, that now the father has to the husband has to pay 100 coins. Father's coming to collect 100 coins. So if it's a case that the father is bringing, you need to pay me 100 coins. So then you only need 3 witnesses. The whole story is over. You only need 3. You only need 3 judges. But if it's the original case, then Beser Mishleisha. So if you go back to the Brisa, Chachamim Aimrim Tavo Maman is referring to the father is bringing a case to get the money, then it's Mishleisha. Tavo Nefashis, the husband's bringing the case, then it's Beser Mishleisha, then it's 23. Okay, that's how we explain it according to Ula. We already had two explanations. We had Ula and Rabbah. Right? Ula was where you always cheshish l'laz. And Rabbah's case was you started it, and the question is, should you finish it with the 23, or should you finish it? Could you finish it with 3? That's machlekes. And the Chacham. Abaya Amar, Abaya is number 3. He says the Kuli Alma Cheshin and Lalas. Everyone says we have to suspect that maybe it's going to turn into a bigger case, and we should have 23. And even if we finish off that it's not a capital punishment case, we still should keep 23 there. So why over here does the mayor say that it's only 3 judges? Hi, Tanahu the Tanya, and we're following. Oh, Achmaiskin, I'm sorry, I skipped the line. Achmaiskin, what are we dealing with? Came the Asr Bastam. This is a specific case. That's why Rameir says 3. They warned the woman that if she commits adultery, this is going to be capital punishment. Bahai Tanahu the Tanya, it's going after the following opinion in the Brisa. When it comes to capital punishment, it has to be an Ada. Ada means 23 judges. It has to be, usually it's 10, but that means that over here the 23 have to be witnesses. In Australia, you also need to have warning. You have to warn the person. 1 second. And you have to let them know that if you continue with this act, you're going to have capital punishment in court. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, that's not enough. You have to also say which capital punishment. Is it skila? Is it stoning? Is it streifa? You have to say which one. Well, what's coming out now is that now we have a machlekes. The husband brought witnesses. The witnesses, when we start, the witnesses tell us that we only warned her about that she's going to get a death penalty, but we didn't tell her which death penalty. So now we know already that there were witnesses which witnesses the father wanted to bring. We don't suspect that maybe there's going to be other witnesses. Cheshen lalaz means that if we don't know any witnesses, we assume that it may turn into a case of witnesses. But here, where we have already witnesses, then we assume that these are the only witnesses, and there's no other witnesses that are going to come.
You mean laws on the base?
No, laws that laws on the woman, that when people hear that she's getting divorced and she not getting a ksuba, witnesses are going to show up and say that, oh yeah, we saw her with so and so. Now,
but here we already know that it is because the witnesses are saying.
Here we already know that there's witnesses,
right.
But once we reject these witnesses because they didn't do it right, then we can drop down to a case of 3. Can drop down to a case of 3. Now, there's one slight problem here, but the Chachamim say that no, you don't have to warn which capital punishment. So the Chacham will follow the opinion of the Rabbanan, and Reb Meir would follow the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, who says that you have to know. So therefore, according to Reb Meir, it's not a capital punishment case. According to the Chachamim, it is a capital punishment case. All has to do with the warning. Yeah.
Are they adding now the warning? Because we learned before that if there's no warning, there's no capital punishment.
Exactly, that's what they're saying here. No warning, no capital punishment. We're adding one more detail. That the warning itself, according to one opinion, needs to be a warning that says which type of capital punishment.
Until now, they never mentioned about the warning. So what?
No, they always had to be warned. If there's going to be capital punishment, they have to be warned. Now, how do they have to be warned? That's a machlekes in this brisa, and it also turns out that it's a machlekes between Reb Meir and the Chachamim, if it's 3 judges here, or if it's because the warning wasn't done right.
So, since they're talking about capital punishment, we assume that the warning.
Yeah, if we're dealing with a case of capital punishment, then of course there was warning.
So the witnesses have to warn the woman that she can't be with the adult.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to give a little pilpul over here. You should know that they have to know, like the chidon, all the taryag mitzvahs. To say that one is going to get the punishment of skila, or maybe a baskayan, maybe she'll get sreifa. They have to know. They have to say specifically, according to Rabbi Yehuda.
They have to be smart.
Yeah.
So, side question, is it written in the Kesuva that she's a basula?
Yeah.
Is that true today also? The Kesuvas today say yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah, it says that in the Chsuba.
So when people want to do it cheap or less expensively and they just go to a store and buy a Kesuva pre-made.
They have to ask them which type of Chsuba they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really almost like a breach of contract case.
I'm sorry?
It's almost like a breach of contract case.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now there's heterim. Let's say it was a couple that they were together beforehand, and now they're getting married. She's actually not a basula, but it was from this chassan. That's why she's not a basula, because they were engaged for I don't know how long. So then you can still write basulta because he's committing to the ksuba of a basula that he was the one that made not a basula. So that's why you could write that. That's why sometimes you write that basulta. If it would be someone that's older, then it would just be a joke. It's not a basula. Of course, it's not a basula. It's, you know. What do they write? Either they leave it blank or they write bolta. If it was a married woman, they would write, a divorced woman, they would write masrachta. Masrachta is divorced. Okay.
So that's a very, the Masada Kedushin has to have a very intimate conversation
Yeah.
with the Kala. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he has the conversation with the chassan, not with the kala. He says, "What do you know? Do you know this?" And then that would be enough for him to commit. I'm not sure if he has to take it further. Anyway, Rav Papa Amar. Okay, so we had three answers so far. His new answer introduces that the machlekes Reb Meir and the Chachamim doesn't have to do. It has to do with how the warning was done. And therefore, okay, the problem with this case, with what Abaya just introduced, is that you told me that if you start a case with 23, you have to finish it with 23. So the witnesses showed up and they say that we're not. So how did the witness tell the Beis Din that we did not do the proper warning, and therefore we only need a case of 23 we only need a case of 3. We only need a case of 3 judges without the Beis Din of 23 being there. And we just said that if once there's 23 there, they have to stay there for the following case, for the next case. That's just the problem. Somehow, I guess there's like the send in your initial documents, like what type of thing we're going to set up, what case we'll set up. And then they said that the warning that we did was like this, and they only summoned, gathered, they only gathered 3 judges for this case. They saw it wasn't something like that. Okay. Rav Papa says, here we're dealing with a woman that's a chavera. I mean, she's a knowledgeable woman. She went to Beis Yaakov. It's a machlekes between Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda. This is, I guess, Rabbi Yehuda's son and the Rabbanan. The Tanya was taught in the Brisa. Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda, chaverin tzarech asra. She doesn't need asra according to Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda. The whole reason why you need warning is because we have to differentiate between someone that says, I didn't know it wasn't allowed, that becomes a shaygig, or it was amazed that I didn't know that it wasn't, I did know that it was not allowed. So Hasra just tells me, how can you claim that you didn't know that this was a sin? We told you that it's a sin. So here we're dealing once.
Oh, just once, not 3 times.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So this woman here was a chavera. She went to Beis Yaakov. The warning that was done to the witnesses did not do any warning. And the question is, do you need a warning? Is this a capital punishment case? Well, that's a machlekes. The Chachamim would say that it's a capital punishment case like Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda, and Reb Meir would say, no, even this woman needs a warning, and therefore this is not a capital punishment case, and it's only 3 judges.
Capital case.
Yeah.
If they warned him, an hour later, she does it.
No, it has to be like technically,
I know,
but 3 seconds. Yeah. Ravashi Amar, we're up to number 5 now. We did Papa was 4, Rashi is 5. Kagain the Asr Bei Malchus Asr Bei Ketala. Here they said that you're gonna get Malchus if you do this. They said the wrong thing. They sold it to the woman. And so there are witnesses here. We don't suspect that it's going to turn into other witnesses because these are the witnesses that we have. And he warned him the witnesses warned the woman for Malchus. The Kamifli beplikted Rabbi Shmuel v'Rabbanan, machlekes between Rabbi Shmuel and the Rabbanan. Well, the Tanana was taught a Mishnah in Malchus B'Shleisha. No, not in Malchus, in Sanhedrin. Malchus B'Shleisha. Cases of Malchus, of lashes, is 3 judges. Rabbi Shmuel Amar Besim B'Shleisha. Rabbi Shmuel says that needs 23 judges. Well, over here, because the warning was not done properly, it's not going to be a capital punishment case. It's going to be a Malchus case. And so therefore, since the witnesses that the husband's bringing are only testifying about a Malchus case.
When you start saying, I'm going to be worried about what if that line, when you do Malchus, the Lo Yosef, what happens if he's Yosef? So now you kill them. So now it becomes a thing of death. So 23 again.
No, but it's not over there. It's not we don't kill the what's it called? I think if he gives an extra lash by mistake, it would be a capital
What punishment is the person giving Malchus?
If he does it wrong?
One too many.
No, that I think that would be considered a shogeg unless he did it on purpose, right? But I think there's a special pasuk. There's a special pasuk that says that you don't punish the
Nobody would do it.
right. You don't punish the person for mistakes.
How many lashes?
39.
The punishment follows the warning, even if it's like
No, yeah. Even here we're saying that there's definitely.
How much in advance does it need to be, Hasra?
I think it says it needs to be Teich Kedei Dibar to the action, or else maybe they can say that we forgot about it. It has to be very close. Yeah. Anyway, what happens over? I know it's not so. Probably it's going to be very seldom that it's going to happen. And you warn the guy exactly, like you told him what this is going to be skila. So the rule over here is that that there's definitely no death penalty if the warning was done for Malchus. They told him the wrong thing. You're going to get a Malchus if you can continue with this act. So now there's a machlekes. Does Malchus require 3 judges or 23 judges? Well, that's going to be very good. That's a machlekes between Rabbi Shmuel and the Rabban. That's going to be the same machlekes between Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim, because we don't suspect that any other witnesses are going to show up. We only assume that these witnesses are going. Okay, so these witnesses turn it into a case of Malchus. So do we do it with 3 judges, or do we do it with 23 judges? Is that same machlekes? No, there's no new machlekes. Ravina, we're up to number 6. Ravina Amar Kagan Shnim Sechen Mene Edom Karave Pasal.
Sorry for the close this person's about to go get Malchus, and other witnesses come and say, "Kidding me? That's not what he did. He killed. He didn't." So now,
but who did the warning?
You get the worst punishment, and the lesser one, you're off.
If there were 2 warnings, 2 sets of witnesses with different warnings,
he can be getting misa because other witnesses now are testifying. They got warned, and now witnesses come and testify that he did X, Y, and Z, that he deserves death. So now he's going to be removed from the Malchus. He'll be into the misa.
Okay. So what the Gemara is, I understand, but no, what the Gemara is assuming is that every case, since we're saying Choshen Lalaz, we're following that. But we're assuming that there were witnesses to this. Once we find out who those witnesses are, we assume that these are the witnesses that we assumed would come. And now we don't suspect that there's going to be another witness. We assume that there's going to be witnesses. Choshen Lalaz. We suspect that witnesses will come. Now we know who the witnesses are that are coming, and it's these. So once you negate that these witnesses are actually the ones that are going to lead to capital punishment, so then we've done away with that suspicion. We don't have to worry. So Ravina says, "Going to nimse echad min edom karavei pasal v'kamifli b'pukti the Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Akiva." We find that one of the witnesses is a relative, or he's not, or he's pasal. Now this comes into a very interesting machlekes that you have in Masechta Makos. It's Machlekes in Rabbi Yossi, V'Rebbe Aliba de Rabbi Akiva. Machlekes in Rabbi Yossi and Rebbe according to the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Ditzanan was taught in the Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva Omer. This is based on the pasuk of by 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses the matter will stand, right?
Sure.
Now the Gemara, the Mishnah asks, it stands by 2 witnesses, so then well, why should you have to say 3 witnesses? You have 3, you have 2 also, right? So comes along Reb Shimon and he says it's coming to tell us that if there was a 3rd witness there, you won't make the witnesses Eidim Zaymin unless you do Hasama on all 3. So in other words, it's coming to be lenient that if 2 witnesses were not with if 2 is in Azayim, but they don't get killed until you get the 3rd one as well. Comes on Rabbi Akiva and he says, it's funny, Rabbi Akiva is arguing on Reb Shimon, his student. He says, it's the opposite. It's coming to be more strict. It's coming to make that he also gets the punishment, which means like this.
Oh, wow.
Because he could really say that I'm going to become a Zaymim. The case was settled already when you finished testifying. I'm not even necessary. I just says, no. You joined into it and you weren't there as well. Obviously, he has to be also not there. So then he becomes a Zaymim as well, even though the case could have been finished without him. So Imkain is coming to be stricter. If someone that joins into a negative act, people that are committing a sin, you could become part of it by association. So then if you're joined in, like the 11th guy to the minion, right? So what do you mean? I'm not necessary. No. You get the reward. I don't know if I'm making that up, but let's say you get the reward for because of association. Okay, now it goes on. If 2 witnesses, one of them is invalid because he's a relative or he was not a valid witness, they do some betela. We say that the testimony is batal. So afshleishin nimtzechin mekarva pasal, they do some betela. Will negate the whole thing. If the third witness was a relative, we negate the first 2 as well. How do you know that you'll do this even for 100? Talmud Leimer Eidim. Pasuk says Eidim. We join them all together. Amar Rabbi Yossi says 1 second. When do we say that we'll nullify all the witnesses because one of the group, this large group, was a relative? That's only bedini nefashos, because it says in the pasuk, you should save them. They'll save the nation. I'm sorry. The nation will save. The nation will what's it called? The opposite of condemn. Will exonerate. So aval bedine mamanas. But if it comes to monetary laws, then this guy made this bishar. You can still keep the judgment intact. We don't have that same instructions of the Torah to try to save a life. Okay. So by din nefashos will knock out the whole case if one of them was a relative. Rabbi Yomer, that was Rabbi Yossi's view. Rabbi Yomer, echadin mamas v'echadin nefashos. We'll take it out. We'll take out the whole case. However, he adds in only if that relative was the one that did the hasra. But if the relative was not the one that did the hasra, then there are 3 people there, 2 brothers and another person that saw a murder. The whole thing is going to be batal. No, it's only if one of the brothers did the hasra, or that 3rd brother did the hasra. You would have to get the hasra to come from the other one, and then he could join with one. Okay, but now what we're saying is that Reb Meir would hold that, like Reb Yossi, that says that the hasra, we know who did the hasra here. So therefore, we only need 3 judges because the hasra came from the wrong one. So therefore, there's going to be no death penalty here. And the Chacham say no, the Chacham say like Rebbe, that the hasra could come from anyone, and still it's going to be invalid. The Chacham say that the hasra could come from. Rebbe says echadin imams echadin nefashos idusim betela. No. Reb Meir goes like Rabbi Yossi. The idusim betela Edus and Betela. And the Rabbanan are going to go like Rebbe, that if he didn't do the Hasra, then the testimony is still good. So therefore, this is a capital punishment. Okay, let's see. Let me try to finish the next two cases. Another possible way of explaining this is that the warning came from other people and not from the witnesses themselves. So kamifel gibeplik the Rabbi Yossi Rabban. The Tana, it's a machlekes. The Tanan, Rabbi Yossi Yamilayla made an ergad shiu pi shnei edim master by shnei mal pi shnei edim. Therefore, what's going to come out now is that we have another machlekes if this is a case of capital punishment, because the warning was not done correctly. Reb Meir would say it's not a capital punishment. He would go like Rabbi Yossi. And the Chacham would say no, like the Rabbanan, that say that the warning doesn't need to come from the witnesses themselves, and therefore it is capital punishment. Riba Yasema, another possible way of explaining Reb Meir and the Chachamim, going this kachash bebedikas le'eskachash bechatiras. They got stumbled up, the witnesses, in details that are not relevant to the case. There's two types of interrogations. One is called bedikas, one is called chakiras. Chakiras are the examinations that have to do directly with the murder or the act. Bedikas are what color clothing the person was wearing when he was. It's not relevant. The kamifli beplukta de ben zakai for Rabbanan. You ask the questions because you want to see if they're honest, but it's not relevant to the act. The Tanan, it was taught in the Mishnah, Maisa Badak Ben Zakkai Buk Tzeitina. Someone said that there was a murder under a tree. So Ben Zakkai asked him how thick the stems of the figs were. And the two witnesses got it. They got it wrong. So he let the person go. Okay, so do you say that if you mess up in the bedikas, the examinations, is it a capital punishment case? So here, the way we're going to have to put it is somehow we figured out already. The Meir holds that it's considered that they messed up, that the case isn't invalid. So therefore, it's just a monetary case. And the Chum say that it's still valid. So therefore, it's going to be a capital punishment case. We're going to have to drop at a certain point. We're going to have to drop the Kvaidan Shel Shainim. Because how do they get to the Bedikas? How do they get to the Bedikas without the case being, without the process of the case? Okay, let's leave it over here.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course, they could object.
I understand.